A meticulously planned journey to transform Mars into our second home by the year 2100. As Earth's resources dwindled and the pressures of an ever-growing population reached a tipping point, a coalition of visionary scientists, engineers, and global leaders united under one purpose: to launch the Ares Pioneer, a state-of-the-art nuclear fusion-powered spacecraft destined to carry a diverse crew of pioneers to the Red Planet. With the echoes of ancient explorers urging us onward, the Ares Pioneer lifted off from a high Earth orbit on a crisp autumn morning in 2092, marking the start of a multi-decade odyssey that would forever change the course of human history. The Ares Pioneer's design was a marvel of futuristic engineering. Its propulsion system, based on advanced nuclear fusion technology, provided an unprecedented thrust that allowed the spacecraft to escape Earth's gravitational embrace within hours. In a meticulously choreographed sequence, magnetic tethers and plasma injectors worked in unison to generate a controlled acceleration phase. Within 72 hours, the craft reached its designated cruise velocity, a speed that, while a fraction of light speed, was sufficient to cover the 78 million kilometer journey to Mars in just under 3 months. The outer hull of the Ares Pioneer was reinforced with multi-layered ablative shielding to protect against micrometeorites and cosmic radiation, while its inner structure was designed to house not only hundreds of passengers, but also a fully integrated ecosystem to support life during the transit. Inside the vessel, the environment was a marvel of human ingenuity. A massive rotating habitat ring, spanning 800 meters in diameter, generated artificial gravity by means of centrifugal force. The rotation was precisely controlled at 2.1 revolutions per minute, simulating Earth-like gravity to maintain the physical health of the crew. This habitat ring was not merely a living space, it was a self-contained biosphere complete with aeroponic vertical farms, hydroponic gardens, water reclamation systems, and advanced medical facilities. Every inch of the interior had been optimized for efficiency and comfort, with modular living quarters that could be reconfigured to accommodate the evolving needs of the colonists over the years. Interactive digital interfaces and augmented reality windows provided real-time views of the cosmos, and a constant connection to mission control back on Earth, even as communication delays gradually stretched to several minutes each way. In the first phase of the journey, the Ares Pioneer executed a carefully planned departure maneuver. Thrusters fired in a synchronized ballet, propelling the ship out of Earth's orbit and onto its interplanetary course. As the blue planet receded into the distance, the passengers, ranging from scientists and engineers to educators, artists, and families, watched in awe as Earth diminished to a pale blue dot against the velvet darkness of space. The initial days were filled with a mix of exhilaration and solemn reflection. On board, every individual understood that they were not only leaving behind a home, but also the entire history of human civilization, carrying with them the hopes and dreams of billions. During the 90-day cruise phase, life aboard the Ares Pioneer settled into a rhythm that was as much about routine as it was about discovery. Mornings were heralded by simulated sunrises produced by a sophisticated lighting system designed to mimic Earth's diurnal cycle. Passengers attended daily briefings in the Command Nexus, a circular chamber at the heart of the habitat ring, where mission updates, scientific findings, and personal messages from Earth were shared. In these briefings, the crew discussed the subtle challenges of long-duration space travel, the importance of maintaining psychological well-being in a confined environment, the intricacies of closed-loop life support systems, and the necessity of adhering to strict resource management protocols. One of the most remarkable innovations aboard the Ares Pioneer was its dynamic life support system. Every molecule of air and drop of water was recycled through a series of high-efficiency filters and bioregenerative processes. Microbial bioreactors converted carbon dioxide exhaled by the crew into oxygen, while nutrient-rich waste products were transformed into fertile substrates for the onboard farms. This self-sustaining cycle was a testament to humanity's ability to harmonize technology with nature, ensuring that even as the ship hurtled through the void, every life support system functioned as if it were a miniature Earth-like biosphere. As the spacecraft approached Mars, the excitement aboard reached a crescendo. After 87 days of transit, the Ares Pioneer initiated its Mars approach sequence. Engineers and navigators worked in perfect synchrony as the ship's onboard computers calculated the optimal entry trajectory. A series of controlled thruster burns gradually decelerated the craft, allowing it to enter a high Martian orbit. The transition from interplanetary travel to Martian descent was a delicate dance. The spacecraft's heat shield absorbed the intense friction generated by Mars's thin, but still significant atmosphere, while advanced guidance systems ensured that the Ares Pioneer maintained its proper alignment for the descent phase. In orbit around Mars, the first breathtaking views of the red planet filled the expansive viewing galleries of the Ares Pioneer. Vast, rust-colored landscapes spread out beneath a sky tinged with the faint glow of a distant sun. The sight was both alien and familiar, a reminder that Mars, with its rugged canyons, towering volcanoes and ancient riverbeds, had once harbored the potential for life. For the colonists, Mars was not merely a destination, it was a canvas upon which humanity would paint a new future. The descent and landing phase was executed with surgical precision. The Ares Pioneer released a series of modular landing capsules, each designed to ferry a group of colonists to carefully selected sites on Mars. One such capsule, christened the Red Horizon, carried the first wave of pioneers to a flat, cratered plain near the Martian equator, a region chosen for its moderate temperatures and access to subsurface ice. During the tense moments of atmospheric entry, each capsule's heat shield glowed with an intense, fiery brilliance. Parachutes deployed in rapid succession, slowing the descent, while retro-rockets provided the final burst of deceleration. In a cascade of controlled landings, the capsules touched down softly, their legs absorbing the impact on the dusty Martian regolith. Once on the surface, the Pioneer's first steps were broadcast back to Earth in real time, a moment that resonated deeply with every human being who had ever dreamed of exploring another world. The landing site, later named New Dawn, was quickly transformed as autonomous construction drones and human crews worked side by side to erect the first Martian habitats. Modular structures, constructed from advanced composite materials and locally sourced regolith-based bricks, formed a protective network around the landing site. Transparent domes provided a view of the alien sky, while shielding the inhabitants from harmful ultraviolet rays and abrasive dust storms that were notorious on Mars. The early days of the Martian colony were a study in both hope and hardship. Colonists donned specially designed suits to step outside, their boots leaving the first imprints on Mars's ancient surface. They planted the initial arrays of solar collectors and wind turbines, vital components of the colony's renewable energy grid. These devices were engineered to harness the feeble Martian sunlight and the planet's sporadic gusts, converting them into a reliable source of power for life support systems, water extraction units, and communication arrays. Every task was executed with a profound sense of purpose. Each colonist was acutely aware that they were laying the foundations for a new branch of humanity. The governance of New Dawn was structured to reflect the ideals of cooperation and shared destiny. A council comprising representatives from various scientific, technical, and cultural disciplines was established to oversee colony operations. Their mission was not only to manage the day-to-day logistics of life on Mars, but also to craft policies that would ensure the long-term viability of the settlement. Strict resource quotas were implemented, and every gallon of water and every watt of energy was meticulously accounted for. Meanwhile, research laboratories flourished, dedicated to studying Mars's geology, searching for signs of ancient life, and experimenting with methods to slowly modify the Martian atmosphere, a process known as terraforming. Terraforming, though still in its infancy, was envisioned as a multi-generational project. Early experiments involved deploying vast arrays of greenhouse gas emitters designed to thicken Mars's atmosphere and trap heat, gradually raising surface temperatures. Simultaneously, genetically engineered microbial colonies were introduced into specially prepared soil beds, tasked with converting the barren regolith into arable land. These pioneering experiments were fraught with challenges. Martian dust, extreme temperature fluctuations, and intense solar radiation all conspired to hinder progress. Yet each setback was met with renewed determination, as every small success reinforced the belief that Mars could one day become as hospitable as Earth. Back aboard the Ares Pioneer, now orbiting Mars as a command and control center, a series of rotational missions were already in progress. New waves of colonists were scheduled to depart Earth every 6 months, each group carrying specialized equipment, scientific instruments, and the genetic diversity needed to sustain a growing population. The onboard biologists had developed sophisticated protocols to monitor not only human health, but also the evolution of terrestrial microbes in the closed-loop environment of the spacecraft. Lessons learned during the lengthy transit were applied to improve life support systems and enhance the overall resilience of the colonization effort. For the colonists who had arrived with the first landing, the journey was only just beginning. The initial settlement at New Dawn rapidly expanded as additional habitats, laboratories, and communal facilities were established. Living quarters were connected by pressurized transit tunnels, creating a sprawling network that was both functional and symbolic, a physical manifestation of humanity's interconnected destiny. As the colony matured, its residents began to experiment with novel architectural designs that combined form and function, building structures that could adapt to the shifting Martian environment. Dome-shaped greenhouses and subterranean complexes became the norm, providing safe havens from the planet's harsh surface conditions while allowing ample natural light to nurture life within. Among the early pioneers was Dr. Layla Hassan, a geologist whose groundbreaking studies of Martian rock formations unlocked clues about the planet's ancient climate. Her research, conducted in state-of-the-art laboratories nestled within the colony's central complex, not only confirmed the presence of water ice beneath the surface, but also revealed tantalizing evidence of chemical processes that could one day be harnessed for energy production. Dr. Hassan's work quickly became a rallying point for the colony, spurring investments in resource extraction and processing facilities that would eventually enable New Dawn to operate with a high degree of self-sufficiency. As the years progressed toward the mid-century mark, the challenges of maintaining a viable colony on Mars grew ever more complex. The initial optimism was tempered by the realities of life on an alien world. Dust storms, capable of enveloping entire regions for weeks at a time, frequently disrupted daily routines and threatened the delicate balance of the life support systems. The colony's engineers responded with robust contingency plans, deploying mobile shield units and backup power generators, to ensure that no critical system was left vulnerable. In parallel, medical researchers closely monitored the long-term effects of reduced gravity on the human body, developing innovative countermeasures such as periodic centrifuge sessions and specialized exercise regimes to stave off muscle atrophy and bone density loss. In an unprecedented display of human resilience and collaboration, the New Dawn colony also embraced cultural evolution as an integral part of its long-term survival. Art, music, and literature flourished in the red dust of Mars, serving as both an escape and a reminder of the rich heritage of Earth. Community centers and amphitheaters were constructed alongside scientific laboratories, offering colonists venues to celebrate festivals, share stories, and commemorate the milestones of their extraordinary journey. Every new birth was celebrated not only as the continuation of a family line, but as a symbol of hope for a future where Mars would evolve into a vibrant, self-sustaining society. By 2098, as the colony's population swelled to several thousand inhabitants, the Martian settlement had evolved into a complex network of interconnected habitats, research centers, and industrial zones. The colony's leaders, guided by decades of accumulated wisdom and relentless innovation, began laying the groundwork for a permanent Martian government. A constitution was drafted, balancing individual freedoms with the collective responsibility of stewarding an entire planet. Education, healthcare, and public safety systems were overhauled to reflect the unique challenges and opportunities of life on Mars. Meanwhile, the terraforming initiatives, once experimental in nature, had shown promising signs of progress. Atmospheric processors dotted the landscape, steadily pumping greenhouse gases into the thin Martian sky, while vast solar farms and wind arrays generated clean energy to power an ever-growing array of essential services. The final years leading up to 2100 were a blend of triumph and introspection. With each passing month, the once nascent colony matured into a thriving outpost on the edge of a new frontier. Families who had once boarded the Ares Pioneer as young pioneers now guided the next generation with a blend of hard-earned wisdom and unyielding optimism. The children of New Dawn, born on Martian soil and raised amid the red sands and shimmering domes of their adopted home, grew up with a deep connection to both the history of Earth and the promise of a future on Mars. Their education combined the best of terrestrial heritage with the pioneering spirit of interplanetary exploration, a curriculum that celebrated the confluence of art, science, and the human spirit. As the year 2100 dawned on Mars, the transformation was nothing short of miraculous. What had begun as a desperate bid for survival had blossomed into a vibrant multicultural civilization. The legacy of the Ares pioneer and the early colonists was etched into every structure, every policy, and every heartbeat of the Martian society. Communication with Earth, once marked by frustrating delays and static-filled transmissions, had evolved into a robust interplanetary network, albeit one that still required careful timing and patience. Earth itself had changed in the intervening years, its scars a reminder of both the environmental neglect of the past and the lessons learned from overreach. Yet, from across the void, the people of Mars reached out with a message of unity and hope, a pledge that no matter the distance, humanity's shared destiny was written among the stars. In the sprawling central hub of New Dawn, now dubbed the Martian capital, a grand ceremony was held to commemorate the official establishment of Mars as a permanent colony. Leaders, scientists, artists, and everyday citizens gathered beneath a colossal dome that showcased a panoramic view of the Martian sky. Holographic displays recounted the journey from the first tentative steps on the Ares Pioneer to the monumental achievements of New Dawn, celebrating not only technological triumphs, but the human spirit's unyielding quest for discovery and renewal. The Martian capital itself was an architectural wonder, a synthesis of cutting-edge engineering and organic design that mimicked the flowing forms of Martian canyons and ancient riverbeds. It housed the colony's administrative headquarters, a vast repository of historical archives and a dynamic forum for public discourse. Here, representatives from every sector of Martian society debated policies ranging from resource allocation to the ethics of further terraforming, ensuring that every decision was made in the light of shared purpose and mutual respect. Even as Mars entered its second century of colonization, challenges persisted. Researchers continued to refine strategies to counteract the persistent effects of cosmic radiation, while engineers worked tirelessly to improve the efficiency of energy storage and distribution systems. Yet each obstacle was met with a spirit of innovation. For every setback, whether a prolonged dust storm that dimmed the red sun or a temporary glitch in the atmospheric processors, there was a corresponding breakthrough that pushed the colony ever closer to its ultimate vision. In the quieter moments of reflection, many colonists found solace in the Martian nights. Under a sky freckled with stars, the red plains of Mars stretched out into an infinite horizon. In these moments, the pioneers recalled the words of ancient explorers and poets, a reminder that while the journey had been fraught with peril, it had also been a journey of hope, resilience, and rebirth. The children of Mars, who had never known the blue skies of Earth, looked upward with wonder, dreaming of a future where the red planet might someday be known not just as a barren world, but as a vibrant, life-affirming haven. By the time the clock struck midnight on New Year's Day 2100, the transformation of Mars was complete. The colony, once a fragile outpost clinging to survival, had become a thriving civilization, a testament to the indomitable will of a species that refused to be confined by the boundaries of its birthplace. The story of Mars colonization was not merely one of technological marvels and scientific breakthroughs, it was a narrative of human evolution, cultural synthesis, and the eternal quest for a place to call home. As the Martian capital celebrated its centennial with a grand display of lights, music, and ceremonial broadcast to Earth, a new chapter in human history was being written. The legacy of the Ares pioneer, the hardships endured during the transit, and the triumphs of building New Dawn had converged into a singular truth. Humanity was now a multi-planetary species. The challenges ahead, further terraforming, expanding the population and deepening the bonds between Earth and Mars, were daunting, yet they were embraced with the same pioneering spirit that had carried the first colonists across the void. In the final analysis, colonizing Mars by the year 2100 was more than an act of survival. It was an act of reinvention. It was a declaration that humanity's destiny was not limited by the confines of a single planet, but was instead boundless, stretching out among the stars. The people of Mars looked to the future with cautious optimism, knowing that every technological advance, every scientific discovery, and every moment of collective endeavor brought them closer to a world where the red dust of Mars could bloom with life. Thus, as the Martian civilization entered its new era, its citizens carried with them the lessons of the past and the dreams of the future. Every sunrise over the Martian horizon was a reminder of the journey that had begun on a distant blue planet, a journey that had transformed isolation into unity and scarcity into abundance. The legacy of 2100 was not simply a milestone in time, but a beacon for all future generations, illuminating the path toward a future where the human spirit soared free among the cosmos. In the bustling corridors of research centers, factories, and communal quarters, the hum of daily life on Mars was punctuated by the sound of progress. Automated rovers, powered by renewable energy harvested from the planet's surface, roamed the red dunes, collecting samples and relaying data that refined the colony's understanding of its new home. Scientists developed innovative methods to extract water from the subsurface ice deposits, and to convert the Martian soil into nutrient-rich farmland. With each experiment, the colony moved a step closer to achieving full ecological and economic independence from Earth. The Martian government, formed through years of deliberation and democratic debate, instituted policies designed to balance technological advancement with environmental stewardship. Education was reimagined to emphasize not only traditional academic disciplines but also the practical skills required for survival on Mars, from advanced robotics and environmental engineering to sustainable agriculture and extraterrestrial architecture. In classrooms lit by the soft glow of bioluminescent panels, students learned the history of the Ares pioneer, the technical details of nuclear fusion propulsion, and the intricate processes of terraforming that would one day transform Mars into a verdant oasis. Every facet of Martian life, from the design of communal spaces to the planning of intercolony transportation networks, reflected the harmonious integration of human aspiration with the unforgiving realities of an alien environment. The colony's architects designed buildings with adaptive insulation to cope with drastic temperature shifts, while environmental scientists monitored the gradual thickening of the atmosphere with the hope that, one day, the protective shield over Mars would rival that of Earth. In time, the artificial domes that once sheltered the first pioneers were expanded into interconnected biodomes, each serving as a microcosm of life on Earth and a laboratory for the future of Martian ecology. As the centennial celebrations continued into the early hours of the new millennium, the people of Mars, descendants of those first brave souls who left Earth behind, gathered to honor their shared journey. They recited the names of those who had perished along the way, and they celebrated the new generation that had been born under the red skies of their adopted home. Their voices, raised in song and in prayer, echoed across the Martian plains as a solemn promise that the sacrifices of the past would never be forgotten. Now, as Mars entered the second century of human habitation, the vision of a multi-planetary civilization was no longer a distant dream, but a vibrant reality. The challenges that had once seemed insurmountable, radiation, isolation, and the sheer enormity of transforming an entire planet, had been met with ingenuity, collaboration, and an unyielding commitment to the future. With every new settlement, every breakthrough in terraforming, and every innovative solution to the problems of space colonization, humanity reaffirmed its belief that the universe was vast enough to hold the hopes and dreams of all. In the twilight of that historic night, as the Martian capital's lights shimmered against a star-studded sky, every citizen felt the weight and wonder of the moment. Colonizing Mars by the year 2100 was not the end of a journey, but the beginning of an era. A time when the boundaries between Earth and Mars blurred into insignificance, and the spirit of exploration became a permanent part of who we are. The legacy of the Ares pioneer and the pioneers of New Dawn would be carried forward into a future where humanity's reach extended beyond any single planet, weaving a tapestry of life that spanned the solar system and beyond. And so, under the red skies of Mars, with the promise of tomorrow written in every breath of recycled air and every ray of filtered sunlight, the colonists embraced their destiny. They knew that the path ahead was fraught with challenges yet filled with endless possibility. In their hearts burned the same eternal flame that had driven humanity to explore, to adapt, and to create, a flame that now lit the way to a future where Mars, the once barren red planet, would bloom with life, culture, and endless wonder. The story of Mars colonization is still being written, one chapter at a time, as each new generation adds its own verse to the epic saga of human resilience and ambition. As the Martian dawn broke on the first day of 2100, it heralded not just a new year, but a new beginning, a testament to the power of unity, ingenuity, and the relentless drive to explore the unknown. In every laboratory, every greenhouse, and every classroom across the Martian colonies, the lessons of the past intermingled with the dreams of the future, ensuring that the legacy of those who dared to reach for the stars would endure for centuries to come. This is the chronicle of how we, as a species, transcended our terrestrial origins and stepped boldly into the cosmos. It is the story of the Ares pioneer, of New Dawn, and of every soul who looked up at the Martian sky and dared to imagine a better tomorrow. The journey was long and fraught with peril, but in the end, it brought us to a place where the red dust of Mars became the fertile ground for a new civilization. A civilization that would carry the human spirit into the vast, uncharted future of the solar system and beyond.